Tamriel, Dawn's beauty in the language of the Altmer, or Tazukan in the Dragon's tongue, is the continent upon which all the Elder Scrolls games take place. Home to many diverse races, and even more conflicts, Tamriel has been host to many adventures. You've experienced Tamriel in your own way, but want to learn more about its story. Well, to get to the heart of the story, you have to go back to the beginning.
Hi guys, real quick before this series begins, there are a few things that you need to know, and disclaimers that simply have to be said. It's not an over-exaggeration to say that the Elder Scrolls universe has some of the richest lore in gaming. Really, just the number of books you can find scattered throughout the world is mind-boggling enough, with over 800 books in Skyrim alone. I set out to make this series to prepare myself for the Elder Scrolls Online, and because I felt that the videos currently out there simply don't do test justice. This series is obviously for all you lore lovers out there, but it also serves the more casual Elder Scrolls gamer as well, simply by using good presentation and good storytelling. History is made by the one who writes it. Most of what you're about to hear in this series is written and spoken by the citizens of Tamriel themselves, meaning the source material is far from infallible. As a matter of fact, it even contradicts itself in places, showing us that authors often let their own bias affect their writing. The only history we can in fact know is true is that which we witness playing the games, as well as what we find written in the Elder Scrolls themselves. So with all that out of the way, let's start putting the pieces in place. Enjoy.
What better place to start than at the dawn of time itself? This is Tamriel. It is but a single continent on the planet known as Nirn. As we broaden our perspective, we can see Nirn is part of other heavenly bodies, like moons and planets. These heavenly bodies make up the realm of existence called Mundus. Mundus itself was the brainchild of Lorcan, the missing god. Magnus, the divine being we draw our magic from, acted as the architect to help the Lorcan by laying out the plans for Mundus' creation. As powerful as Lorcan and Magnus were, creating an entire realm of existence was a monumental task that required help from the Aedra, who are more commonly known as the Divines. It's pretty unclear whether the Aedra willingly volunteered in creation, or if Lorcan in fact tricked them, but in the end, the Aedra gave part of themselves for the creation of Mundus, and in turn, they created Nirn and Tamriel as we know it today. However, not every godlike being agreed with our creation. Daedra is the name given to the divine beings that did not take part in creation. Unlike the Aedra, the Daedra are thought to retain the full might of their power because they elected to sit out while Mundus was being constructed. The citizens of Tamriel worship both the Daedra and the Aedra, however the latter is more widely accepted in the greater empire. More on that later. Suffice it to say, the only thing we'll be concerning ourselves with is the biggest and most significant planet in Mundus, Nirn. There are 5 known continents on Nirn. The continent of Akavir, also known as Dragonland, is the landmass east of Tamriel. History has proven that Tamriel and Akavir have a very hostile attitude toward each other, to say the least. Akavir has invaded Tamriel several times in the past, and we know that Tamriel has invaded Akavir at least once. We as citizens of Tamriel know very little about Akavir, and much of the information we do hold is acknowledged to be incomplete or inaccurate altogether. The continent of Atmora is the landmass north of Tamriel, and legend says that it was from here that the first humans came. It was Yskamor, the ancient Atmorian king who fled civil war in Atmora, determined to make a new life for his people in Tamriel. The western continent of Yakuta, which sank into the sea in ancient times, was the original home of the Red Guards. Although Yakuta no longer exists, it is included on the map of western Tamriel. What in fact caused Yakuta to sink remains shrouded in mystery, but the Red Guards themselves seem to be under the impression that the destruction of Yakuta was in some way their fault. Upon the sinking of their homeland in the First Era, the Yakutan fleet set sail to the east, where they shored in Tamriel. Birthplace of the Elves, Aldmeris is one of Nirn's greatest mysteries. So little is known about this southern continent that some question its very existence. Some moth priests say that Aldmeris is not a physical place, but actually a collection of images existing only in the minds of the elves themselves. It's hard to argue with the moth priests considering their claim is based on a near infallible source, the Elder Scrolls themselves. Now we arrive in Tamriel, a land of swords and magic, bigotry and barbarism, social and political intrigue. An era does not come and go without a conspiracy or without blood being spilled for one cause or another. Our vast continent is a land divided by race, divided by culture, and often divided by greed. The most apparent divisions are identified by the 9 provinces that help define Tamriel's diverse people. To the north lies Skyrim, cold and rugged. Though currently inhabited primarily by Nords, the elves who they replaced had resided there since time immemorable. Skyrim is the province where Yskamor, the ancient Atmorian king, first made landfall after crossing the Sea of Ghosts. A legendary hero of men, Yskamor would later make conquest on the elves in a major event known as the Return, and in doing so he would send a message to all of Tamriel. From then on, the race of men were here to stay. In the northeast lies Morrowind, which is dominated by the island of Vardenfell, which in turn is dominated by Red Mountain, a massive volcano. Red Mountain will erupt twice in Morrowind's history, each time having profound effects on the province. Some species of Vardenfell even depend on the ashfall for survival. Modern Morrowind becomes home to the Dark Elves after they are banished from Cyrodiil for committing the capital offense of Daedra worship. In the southeast lies the swampland known as Black Marsh, home to the reptilian race known as the Argonians, as well as a race of sentient trees known as the Hist. The mysterious Argonians are native to Black Marsh, and they organize themselves on the tribal level with great efficiency. Southern Tamriel yields itself to great deserts and jungles. Elsewhere is home to the feline race of humanoids known as the Khajiit. Sources say the Khajiit predate even the elves' arrival on the continent, making them one of Tamriel's truest natives, along with the Argonians. In the southwest lies Valenwood, which became home to the Wood Elves before the First Era began. Realizing the great forests were too wild to tame, the Wood Elves decided to adapt instead. In a pocket guide to the Empire, it describes Valenwood as a sea of endless green, a maze of foliage with half-hidden cities growing like blooms from a flower. The home of the Bosmer is Tamriel's garden. The Somerset Isles is the large island southwest of Tamriel's mainland, and it is believed to be the first province occupied by the elves. The Somerset Isles will become most associated with the High Elves, and for being the heart and soul of the Aldmeri Dominion. When people think of the western province of Hammerfell, they think of the Alakir Desert and its human inhabitants, the Red Guards. Finding the Alakir Desert a poor place for a home, the Red Guards fleeing Yakuta built great port and trade cities along the coast of Hammerfell, where they enjoy lives filled with travel and adventure, sailing mostly for profit as mercenaries throughout Tamriel. It is said that the history of Tamriel begins in the northwest province of High Rock. It is here where the Adamantite Tower stands as a testament to a long-forgotten age. High Rock might be home to the oldest structure in Tamriel, but it also serves as home to the Bretons, and more recently, the Orcs. The Bretons divide the province into multiple city-states and minor kingdoms, while the Orcs are happy to call Orsinium their home. And thusly, we arrive at the heart of Tamriel. In the ages to come, Cyrodiil will act as home to the Heartland High Elves, who were rumored to be the first humanoids to settle in this province. It was these elves that built the great centerpiece of Tamriel, the White Gold Tower. Tall and imposing, the White Gold Tower will become the ultimate seat of power in the centuries to follow. The Heartland High Elves, also known as the Ayleids, bring about their own destruction by enslaving the humans that later came to the region. The result was the Slave Rebellion and the birth of the Imperial race. Cyrodiil will carry on without the Ayleids. In their place, the Imperials will sacrifice much in efforts to hold the heart of Tamriel. In the first era, they will successfully repel an Akaviri invasion. In the second, an arcane explosion of energy will shake the very foundations of Tamriel. This will spur the bloody faction wars, and later will crown Tiber Septim, ushering in a new empire. Rebellions, conspiracy, Daedra, you name it, blood finds its way to the heart of Tamriel. Despite its chaotic nature, to us, Nirn is above all a land of beauty, mystery, and adventure. The stage has been set, the pieces in place, but who is pulling the strings?